Cheers, Bill.
Cheers.
Congratulations for making it to Bangkok.
It took me 3 years to get here, but I'm happy to be here, that's for sure.
Yeah, and thanks for meeting today, too. We're going to
It's my honor.
make this very educational, informational for anyone who's looking to move to Thailand or just come for a visit in Thailand.
Okay,
So-
sounds terrific.
One of the most popular questions that I get asked right now is Bangkok still cheap? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say the answer is definitely yes. I think that as far as my previous history in coming here over years past, it's still very, very much affordable destination to come.
Yeah, like you could either get maybe a 3-star hotel for maybe $25, $30 a night.
Exactly, yeah, accommodations are wonderful. Yeah.
And then maybe 5-star hotels even starting at like $50 right now, possibly?
Yes, possibly. I think there's a lot of availability, and there's a number of properties that are part of the approved housing for coming over for visitors. So this is a great opportunity. I don't see any lack of accommodations at a reasonable price.
And have you done any research into not just visiting, but have you ever done any research in actually moving here? Did you look at any of the prices?
Well, as far as moving here, which I do intend to do at some point in time in the future, I think I would probably be a renter first, as opposed to looking for any property as more of a permanent and a substantial investment. Because I'm kind of particular about where I would eventually want to live, so I think I'm going to have to come over and rent and then go and visit a lot of different areas. So I think a lot of the value that I've gotten from YouTube is such as yourself doing reviews of properties in different locations, so I get a much greater understanding of what's out there. So I think that's been very helpful for me. But right now I'm still a visitor and don't plan to relocate quite yet, but it is in the future.
Yeah, maybe the next 5 years, somewhere around there.
Something
5,
like that.
10 years.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
but in the meantime, it's nice to see you in Bangkok. And I know you've been watching my channel for a while, because I remember seeing your comments like way long time ago, like almost 2 years ago.
Right.
So it's kind of cool that you're watching on YouTube, and then when you actually came over here, we got to meet up. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really not too much of a YouTube viewer, but in light of the situation, I was, I guess getting my Thailand withdrawal satisfied by watching everybody else's over here.
Oh yeah, it's fun to watch like the different YouTubers too, because even if they make the same video, it's different because it's a different creator.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
It's pretty cool to see what's going on around here. And what's going on in America now? Is the cost of living in America going way up right now compared to gas and food and all that stuff?
Well, over recent time, the gas prices have been astronomical. That's only been over the last couple weeks due to obvious situations that are going on in Europe. But as far as my location, living in Hawaii, it's always been a little bit pricey. And so as far as comparing it to the mainland, I think Hawaii has always been kind of a little bit pricier as far as not only gas, but accommodations and just the intricacies of traveling over there, because we're 5 hours from anything. So it's going to take some time and trouble to get over to us. So that always costs a lot.
Is it true that Subway $5 footlong sandwiches are $8 in Hawaii? Is that true, or is that just a rumor?
I haven't seen a $5, that's for sure. So
Okay.
yeah, I think
It might be $8 over there.
yeah. Well, we got to add in our tax, our paradise tax.
Yeah, one of my friends told me about that. He told me that in Las Vegas it's $5, right?
Right.
But he said when he went to Hawaii it was like $8 or $9.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, Hawaii looks absolutely gorgeous. Would you say that Hawaiian culture is kind of similar to Thai culture, a little bit?
Well, I'm still kind of a newbie to Thailand, and I'm only seeing it from a visitor's point of view. I think if I was going to be living here, then I'd probably have much more opportunity to really delve into the Thai culture and understand more about it. But Hawaii has a lot of Asian influence by its location. So we have temples, and in fact there's a very nice Thai temple that's in Honolulu that if you walked in there, you would think that you walked in a temple in Thailand. So, but Hawaii has a lot of Asian influence, so I think there's a lot of similarities, yes.
Yeah, very cool. I need to go down to Hawaii. I still haven't gone there yet.
You haven't. You
Yeah.
need to make a visit.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be the tour guide.
Okay.
No problem.
Sounds good. And what about the kind of like the nightlife now in Bangkok? Do you think it's getting more normal now, or do you think it's still kind of not so fun as it was before?
Well, I think some of the venues that I've looked at, it's about 50% of what it was before. So it's not like all the nightclubs and all the beer bars are closed down. It's certainly not that by any means, but it's not to the level that it was before.
Yeah.
I was still positively impacted by seeing a lot of people moving around, and for a bit of time there, it almost seemed like it was normal. You know, you're seeing people in taxis and in tuk-tuks running around, and a lot of live music venues and that sort of thing. So in some regard, you know, it seems like it's coming back, but it's still not to what it was before.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend, we sometimes like to go, you know, check out the bars and stuff like that. And what we've noticed is just in the last maybe 2 months, things have been getting a little better.
Okay.
But I would even say you almost came at a perfect time, because even just 2 weeks ago, things were still kind of dead.
Okay.
But now things seem to be getting a little bit normal. What they used to do a lot is a lot of the bars and stuff like that, they couldn't serve alcohol. So this is kind of funny, but what they would do is they would bring over like, you know, what I've been told, they would bring over like a Coca-Cola bottle, right? And then they would put the beer in the Coca-Cola bottle. So what I've been told, sources have told me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And, so that's kind of funny how even though there was a lot of restrictions, people were still kind of,
Right.
still drinking and stuff like that. But one thing that's interesting too is in Bangkok and other provinces, sometimes the restrictions aren't the same.
Oh,
So
really?
we were living in the south for a little bit, and we noticed that the restrictions in the south were not the same as the restrictions in Bangkok.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes in the south, things were more lenient. Sometimes they were actually more strict. So
okay.
that's just something to keep in mind too for the viewers if they're looking to move to Bangkok or they're looking to move to like Phuket or something like that. The restrictions may not be the same
Right.
everywhere.
Okay.
But,
Interesting.
Yeah, but hopefully we are going into a different period of time. B's brother actually just caught the bug.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that was the first person that we actually talked to that we knew that
Okay.
actually had the bug, and it's almost like the flu, but maybe ×2.
Okay.
It's a little rough.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but he's doing better now. After like a week, he seems to be a little better now.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, it seems like people's reaction, I've known a couple people, and they have quite varying degrees. One of my friends here in Bangkok that was tested positive was asymptomatic, didn't know anything about it.
Oh.
It was like, oh, this is a surprise. And another friend of mine back in Hawaii just felt like it was a cold for a couple days. And so it seems like it's very much case by case as to how people react.
And then some people, it's like really bad, right? Like
Some people
it's really
obviously,
strong.
obviously
Yeah.
with deaths being reported, it's like, but then I don't know if those are people that have pre-existing conditions, because
Right.
it seems like that's been a major factor. Obviously elderly people and people that have had other types of conditions, they're quite vulnerable. So I don't know the statistics on different age groups or that sort of thing, but that might be also something. If you're healthy, generally you might not have too much of an issue.
Can you tell me how was the process as a U.S. citizen coming to visit Thailand during this time?
Okay.
Was there some special things that you had to do?
Well, I was real careful to follow the steps that were on the website for the Thai consulate. And basically, it was a very easy process. The steps that I had to take were, I had to purchase insurance. So if I did have the situation come to me, that would be covered. I needed to stay in a SHA hotel that is basically government approved for visitors to come in. And there was a ton of them, so it wasn't like I only had a choice of like 10 or 20. There was like hundreds. So that was the requirement as far as my first stay coming into Thailand.
Can I ask how many days you had to stay in the SHA?
The way that it's set up is that you have to have the PCR test on day 1 when you come in, and then again on day 5. Now, one option would be you stay at a hotel that's approved for day 1, assuming you test negative. 2, 3, and 4, you can be anywhere that you want, and then come back to another hotel for day 5. What I did is I just stayed in the same hotel all 5 days because I thought that was convenient instead of going back and forth. Partly because I thought it was easy, and partly because I liked the hotel that I chose. So that was really the only requirements as far as a specific hotel. And then after day 5, assuming that you again test negative, then you're free to roam around the country.
You can do anything, right?
You can do anything, right.
Did you look into the Phuket program too, the Sandbox program?
I really wasn't interested to go to Phuket.
Okay. You wanted to come visit me in Bangkok. That's what it
exactly,
was, right?
Exactly. I knew where Julian was. It was like anywhere else is going to be second level.
Right.
So, and I actually have never been to Phuket, so I should go there sometime.
It's very expensive.
Is it? Well,
I would say it's very similar to American prices.
Okay, well, there would be a reason where, okay, I can have enough American prices. So no, I didn't really investigate it. I know that was one of the, I think the first approaches that the Thai government used as far as getting tourism into the country in some form. And I thought it was interesting to see how that was going to develop, because I thought that was kind of like the initial step, and it's like, okay, is it successful? Is it not? Are we going to migrate it to other places? But with this test and go program that they set up, that was ideal for me, because again, I was planning to come to Bangkok and not really to Phuket.
Was the test and go, was that in the cheek, or was that through they had to like stab your nose?
One other little step that I should have mentioned as far as coming over here is I had to have a PCR test in the US within 72 hours of my departure time. So, and they were very specific that it has to be PCR, none of these, take home, do it yourself type of tests. And so that was another step that I wanted to be sure to add in there. But yeah, when I arrived here, it was the nasal and also the back of the throat.
Oh,
test.
you had to do 2?
Yeah, both at the same time,
The nasal one's pretty brutal. I've had to do that like 2-3 times.
Yeah, it goes pretty deep.
Yeah, I almost like, my eyes, because I also do modeling out here in Bangkok.
Okay.
So if you work for like a big company, usually they want to follow the rules.
Right.
So I had to do that about 2-3 times, and the first time was terrible. Like
Yeah.
my eyes were like, I was like looking at everybody else. I was like, am I the only person that had to do this? Because yeah, it feels like it almost hits your brain.
I know. Yeah, I wasn't ready for it initially, and the second time I was ready, and actually it was a little bit easier the second time around. I thought it was a little more gentle, but yeah, it goes way back there.
Yeah.
But in the U.S., when we do the PCR test, at least my experience, I've only done it a couple times, is it's strictly just nasal. They don't do anything with the throat. So I was a little surprised to see that was the process out here.
Yeah. What are some sky bars that you would recommend for someone to go check out if they're out here in Bangkok?
Well, the Continent Hotel that we're sitting in right now.
That's pretty nice.
We're here in the pool area, but you go up a couple levels and they have a nice sky bar up there. I've been kind of on a mission this trip to visit a couple. Another one that I went to was at the Skyview Hotel. I thought that was very nice.
Oh yeah, Skyview, I've been there.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
And I think one of the unique aspects of that one is it truly is on the top with 360-degree view. A lot of these other ones, it's like you maybe have only 180 degrees or something like that, and you're kind of backed up against a wall or the bar or something like that. But the sky view was totally, you had nothing around you. It was very exciting.
yeah, the sky view was nice. I remember that one.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could see everything.
Right.
And then
right.
you might be going to Le Bois, right? Maybe.
Yeah, since I
That
have
was
been
my
there
reference.
before, if I have a chance, I'm certainly going to go and visit that again, because that's kind of like the number one rated of all of them. But I'm also trying to find these others that I haven't ever been to before, just to get my experience level.
Right. I feel you. Yeah, and there's always those ones that are kind of like hidden too, that you might not know of.
Right.
Like there's one that I love going with B to. It's called it's on Khao San Road.
Oh, okay.
It's called On
okay.
Top.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen it. You may have seen it on my YouTube channel.
I think I did see it on one of your
yeah,
channels.
but that one,
videos.
we didn't know about that one. We just kind of were walking, and I was like, what is that? Like literally, I was walking through Khaosan Road and I was like, what is that tall 7-story building?
Right.
And there was like a bunch of lights on the top, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that was one that I just kind of found myself. I didn't know about it. And if you look it on Google, not a lot of things come up for that one. So you kind of had some other places you might just have to find yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you can find one that's pretty tall, that oversees a lot of other buildings, then you can spot them. Because when I was over at Skyview, it's like, oh, there's one like on that building right over there, and there's another one right over there, and it's like they don't really advertise it, but yeah, so I think there's a lot of hidden gems. But just doing a Google search brought 21 different sky bars, so I thought, well, that's going to keep me busy for this trip.
Oh yeah. What's your go-to drink right now?
I'm still a red wine person.
Red wine?
Yeah, red wine, and if I'm having a great meal at a Japanese restaurant, I love sake.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Red wine and cheesecake, you can never beat that, right?
That sounds like a good combination. Yeah, yeah.
If you do plan to move to Thailand in the future, do you think you'll be in Bangkok or do you think you might be in a different city? Maybe Pattaya?
Well, again, thanks to YouTubers such as yourself and others that go around the country, my eyes have been open to other places to check out. Like, I've never been to Chiang Mai before. I hate to admit it, but I think everybody's been there but me. I think that would be a beautiful place to go and check out. So my options are open, but I would start with Bangkok as kind of my base and then branch out from there.
Correct. Maybe come to Bangkok, stay here for like 3 to 6 months.
Exactly.
See what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, my recommendation for most Americans who are looking to move to Thailand is I say you should try renting for a year first.
Right.
You know, maybe not jump in right away and buy a condo, because once you buy a condo, it could take some time to sell it.
Right.
You know, so what I recommend is you come out here, you rent for like a year. Most of the landlords want a 1-year lease. You might get lucky here and there, get a 6-month lease, but most of the time you got to do a 1-year lease. And see if you actually like it, because sometimes people come out here for 3 months, they have that honeymoon period, right?
Right.
And then after 3 months, they're like, oh, I want to go back home.
Right.
You know, because that's just something that, you know, you see the videos on YouTube, you might come out here, you do everything you want to do, and then after you do everything you want to do, it's like, do I really want to stay out here?
Right.
You know, some people it's yes, 100% yes, and then some people are like, oh, I kind of want to go back, you know.
Right. Right.
Did you ever look at maybe retiring in other countries around Thailand, like maybe Philippines or anything like that?
I have not.
Yeah.
Once I discovered Thailand, gosh, maybe 20 years ago, it's kind of been on my radar to be the long-term choice.
Thailand?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think most of the people out here are pretty happy, and you also meet other. I don't think it's too hard to meet Americans out here. There are just so many.
Right.
You know,
Right.
a lot of them are YouTubers now, and a lot of them just have their own business out here, or maybe they're retired, stuff like that. Yeah, so it's definitely if you're living on $2,000-3,000 social from America, $2,000-3,000 in America can't do too much, right? But $2,000-3,000 out here is actually not too bad, right?
Exactly. Yeah, particularly in Hawaii, 2,000 or 3,000 is pretty sketchy.
pretty rough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, as far as location, since I come out here as a visitor, then I kind of want to be somewhere close to the action. Like this location here, I'm very much within walking distance of like Terminal 21, which I really like. I can go down to the Emporium, which is easy to get to. The SkyTrain station is like 3 minutes away. So it's really great to have that all right at my fingertips. But do I want to have all that on my front door every day for a year? That might be a bit much, you know? So I think it's fine to be right kind of in the heart of the action right now. But yeah, when I come out here to look for something to rent for a period of time, I wouldn't mind being a little bit far from the city center just to have a little bit of peace and quiet, but I want to have things available. You know, it's not like I want to have to drive an hour to find something to do.
Yeah, if that's the case, I would recommend probably near Onut,
Right.
BTS station. That's where it's like still in the city, but it's not like directly in the city.
Right.
One thing I do like about this area, this Asok Sukhumvit area, is it's the intersection between the MRT and the BTS.
Right.
So it's kind of like if you want to go anywhere, you
Right.
can go anywhere.
Exactly.
from right here.
Exactly.
And right now, I don't know if you've experienced the Bangkok traffic yet, but sometimes the traffic's pretty brutal out here.
Oh yeah, yeah. That doesn't seem to have changed from my memory.
Yeah. What are a few things that you think if someone hasn't come to Bangkok before, but they want to come out here for a visit. What are
Mm-hmm.
like maybe 2 or 3 things that tourists should be aware of out here?
Well, I think it's a very international city, so you don't have to be concerned about, am I going to have language difficulties? Am I going to have difficulties in exchanging money because there's ATMs everywhere? So it's a very easy city to be still away from the US or away from what we call Western style, because the people are very friendly and there's a lot of infrastructure there for tourism, and it's definitely easy to access. As far as things to do, gosh, just go online and whatever your interests are, whether it be restaurants or museums or going to a riverboat cruise or something like that, there's everything available. So it's really depending on what your interests are. How do you want to stay up late at night, or do you want to do something more relaxing? It's what everybody wants to do. There's probably something for it.
In your opinion and your lifestyle, do you think you would rather have like a condo, or would you rather live in like a house if you're living here?
That's a very interesting question. I'm thinking that a condo would be good for me, because then I can just concentrate on having my own place there and not have to worry about the maintenance of, you know, like, is the roof stable, and then do I have to do painting and all this other stuff. I live in a townhouse in Hawaii, and that's one of the beauties of it, is that even though I have to share walls with other people, all of the infrastructure is already taken care of, that I obviously have to pay for, but that suits me fine. So I don't think that I really would want to have a single family home and just have all the logistics of taking care of that. And I guess probably a question that I would ask for that is, as a foreigner, can I get a single family home? Because it's my understanding, and you know more about this than I do, is that a lot of these condo buildings, there's a certain percentage that foreigners can buy and others cannot. So
Right.
that would be probably a biggest aspect for me.
Right. When I was asking, I was kind of on the thinking of renting, not
Okay.
buying.
Okay.
So you would have no problem renting a house in Thailand, but if you wanted to buy a house, that's a different story.
Right.
And that's a little more complicated. And if you wanted to buy a condo, that's very simple. But if you want to buy a house, it's a little more complicated. I would suggest probably talking to a law firm, because they
Right.
can maybe set it up through there's a way to do it through supposedly like a company. So you have like the company buy it or something like that. But also that's a little tricky too, because I think that you know, there's a lot of regulations and stuff like that you got to
Right.
think about.
Right.
Yeah. So for me personally, I think it's good to rent a year, like I mentioned earlier, rent for a year, see what you think, and then if you do like staying here, then that's the next step.
Right.
You know, then you can go from there.
Right.
Yeah.
No, as far as answering your question more clearly, then yeah, if I'm coming over to rent, certainly a condo would be ideal. I see some of these beautiful buildings, and I would love to have a high floor with a beautiful, gorgeous view. So
Right.
that would be suitable for me, just perfect.
Right. If you came out here long term, you think you want to enjoy the single life, or you think you might want to find like a partner for the long term?
I would love to find a partner. I think that makes life so much more interesting, and that would be an ideal way to learn about Thai culture. And I do have hopes of learning the Thai language. I've always told myself that wherever I would relocate, that within 2 years I would be fluent. Now, that may not mean I'm reading a newspaper, but that's kind of an informal goal. So I would see having a partner to help me out with that would be super patient with me. That would be ideal. So I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds nice. It always seems like fun too, like when you actually have someone to go traveling with you and stuff like that. It's
Sure.
kind of, I know it's sometimes people want to enjoy the single life, but I think the relationship life is just so much more fulfilling.
Right.
I think, in my personal opinion.
Right.
But some people they do want to just stay single forever.
Right.
You know, I see that too. It's just either or, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. Do you have any questions for me? Do you want me to answer anything?
Well, I don't think that I have anything right now. I'm just I felt very honored that you asked me to do this interview,
Oh yeah.
and so I appreciated the time that we had to get together and kind of have a little face-to-face chat the other day. So that was wonderful. But yeah, I'm hoping that my my thoughts and my impressions will encourage other people to maybe that are on the fence, come on out, because the process was not onerous, and it was definitely worthwhile to come back out here again. And I've even heard rumors that they're going to scrap the PCR test and maybe even the test and go.
Oh.
But it's a very fluid situation, so what is happening today may be different next week or next month. But for me, it was wonderful to come back out here again. I'm so happy to be here, and look forward to my next trip.
Sounds good, Bill. Well, thank you so much for coming out today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You enjoy the rest of your trip, and I hope this was entertaining for all of you watching too. Thank you so much, Bill, and stay safe.
Okay.
When you're out here.
Aloha.
Aloha. Bye-bye.